Okay, so I'm shooting the video like this. So I took the power off, shut the power off in this room. This is the bedroom. The television in the kitchen's on, so you'll hear something. Um, I wanted to tell you today I woke up from my nap and I was perspiring. I haven't perspired in so long. So they keep trying to nag me about, again, confronting people and pursuing this. That was what this was supposed to be, me confronting, having confrontations. So they said it seems like on the streets, because they're also concerned about the streets. That's what I'm telling you. This seems weird. They said Felicia's would be respected because I'm not the only person she's done this to, and she's gotten so far with this from me. So I wanted to tell you that. I also want to show you in my nose the inflammation and how my nasal spray helps. So let me see if I can get a good view. Can you guys see? Can you see that? So they said at the bottom of my nose, if you look over here, they cause these lumps. And they said the lumps were there to widen my nose and change the shape of my nose, which is when I showed you before how my face started to change and it looked completely different. I showed you my eyebrows got swollen and everything got swollen. That was what they were trying to do. So they said they created these lumps in the corners of my nose, at the bottom. You see how that's swollen right there? And then inside the nostrils. They said they created those lumps because they were supposed to change my nose. And they said what happened was, according to them, I was supposed to be very dark skinned. And since I was a little girl, they said, and Felicia was supposed to be very light skinned. She's not very light skinned and I'm not very dark skinned. But it seems like this was created to be about her, which is what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. So they said, well, this had to start occurring in the 80s. That's my point. Then they said it was related to a cousin of mine. They keep saying a first cousin. She's not my first cousin. So it couldn't have been related to her because when she moved away, it never involved her again. That's my point. Like, it seems like they did this afterwards and tried to come up with a way to make it seem like it was something with the CIA. What I'm saying is that it always involved Felicia in some way. And that's why they said they had to keep her voice around me because they had to keep us together. They said it was related to her. The CIA would not have connected it to her. So they keep saying, don't forget that her family's from Cuba. That's my point. It doesn't make any sense. What I'm saying, what seems to make sense in this whole situation is in 2016, suddenly everything here got so bad. They said just now that I didn't want these types of people living here. Why would I want criminals who hurt people living here? And so they said, I'm not the only resident they hurt. I know. But I also can't be the person to intrude on people's privacy like they intrude on my privacy. So they're not understanding how they're invading my privacy, didn't give them what they wanted. So then they decided they'll try to, like they said, use the word join forces. That's what they said. Join forces with me. No, that's a crime. You can't become the person causing the problem and then sue to benefit from the problem. There's a law against that. So then they decided, well, maybe I could be the person to invade other people's privacy and find out if they're going through this. If they were going through this and as public as I've been about it, they would have contacted me. And that's my point. They don't use just simple logic. If this had to do with Felicia, it probably was happening to her longer than it was happening to me. If it started happening to me in the 80s and I was around since the 70s, and they said, oh, this is how they speak. They confuse everything in the moment. So they said, oh, that's like that song. There was a song about someone being from the 70s and someone being from the 80s. it has nothing to do with the song. If it was happening to me before the song came out in 2000 and I don't know, maybe 10, around that time. I was born in the 70s. It has nothing to do with the song. What I'm saying is, after the fact, they could just say, oh, this was the reason, that was the reason. No, we're going to stick to the logical reason. If I'm from the 70s and I meet someone in 1981 or so, then it wasn't happening before 1981. So it could have been happening to her before 1981, but it wasn't happening to me until 2016. What I'm saying about this situation is, why did it have to include her? If her family's from Cuba and my family isn't, then what does that have to do with me? What they keep saying is that this was a system that involved her. Okay, so now we're getting someplace. So in 2016, I wasn't around her. So what they had to do is bring her around in some way. They said she requested, they use the word, she specifically requested to move into my building after she knew from 2011 we were not ever supposed to be in contact with each other because she has a history of stalking. So they just said, quoting them, she specifically asked, they just said, to move into my building. And then they installed this here. So again, I'm looking for how this makes any sense. So they said she does this to specific, and this is their word for tonight. The word of the day is specific. So they said they use a certain phrase that I wouldn't use because this was supposed to sound like it's me thinking. Does this sound anything like me thinking? No. See, that's my problem with